to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, welcome in. Thursday, March 26th. Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Jason Moore, Mike Wright. I'm Andy Holloway.
Happy birthday! Oh!
According to the show doc, it is my 68th birthday today.
And the calendar. Oh, the 68? It says 68
It
in there?
says 68th birthday. Yeah, in the show
You're
doc.
honestly, Andy, I didn't think you were looking very good, but for 68,
For 68, I think I'm doing all right. Thank you.
I think you're got to be top 1,000
That's
of
nice.
68-year-olds as far as look
Physical
goes.
appearance.
So
Yeah.
how old was he then, Jason?
How old was he prior to this?
Yeah.
67.
Okay.
Oh! Son of a
Hey,
gun.
no, hey.
Yeah, see,
Hey,
I've
all
grown
right.
up. I've overcome.
Okay.
You are finally
Look,
growing
us,
up.
our generation,
Did we do it?
We already killed it. I mean, we did such
got you, you
swift work with the 6-7.
Oh,
It's
it
over.
was not swift. That thing was intense.
That was intense, but it was. I mean, it
Gotcha.
quickly went from like, oh, the biggest thing and all the youths, and then
Oh, man.
all us old men came in and were
Yeah.
like, oh, we'll show you how stupid this is.
And you started doing it.
Yeah, like crazy.
And now it's over.
It's over.
If you have not seen, there's a clip going around of Ryan Gosling doing some publicity for hashtag not sponsor Project Hail Mary.
Awesome.
It's a great movie. But there's just a clip of him with an interviewer, and it's all just the youth slang, but in a real serious delivery. If you've not seen that
It was
clip,
pretty funny.
it is
Yeah.
delightful.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have you with us today. Regress or impress is the main topic on the show.
Historic L.
We got news to talk about. We got some mailbag if we got time, and a reminder, the Ultimate Draft Kit available for pre-order right now. UltimateDraftKit.com to check that out if you want access to everything we offer all year long, including all the in-season app, tools and resources, and lineup optimizer, everything we do, including the Ultimate Draft Kit. You can become an Ultimate supporter at jointhefoot.com, become a Foot Clan member over there, and just get access to everything and make it really easy for yourself. Our quick question of the day comes from Charles in Oklahoma. Hello, ballers. Doing a first-time dynasty startup and just wondering if you had any tips or suggestions to make it as fun as possible. Thank you.
Well, I mean, first of all, draft all the best players. That
Yeah,
will make
yeah.
your league way more fun.
Dynasty startup, man, you better start hydrating multiple days before.
Yeah.
Because, like, something
Preload the
something
electrolytes.
that somehow the general public doesn't yet understand this. If you're hydrating day of, it's done.
Yeah.
It's too late.
You are not hydrating.
You must hydrate at least the day before for any type of strenuous situation. And a dynasty startup draft, if you have never done one, clear the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, imagine our main league of record draft, we have 11 rounds because we've got keepers in there. And that lasts several hours. We do it in person, offline, which is honestly, that's my biggest answer to this question is try to do you only have one dynasty startup ever. If you guys and gals and whoever's in your league are geographically in the same place or even able to take a trip to, let's all go to Vegas for a draft. If you can draft in person,
Yes.
it is so much fun. However, what Mike is saying is, you're going to end up going 30 rounds. So, yeah, get your push-ups in, get prepped for a long draft. Make sure you've got lunch and dinner.
Do you remember ours?
I do remember ours.
It was an eternity.
It was so much fun for
about half of it.
At least 75% of it.
Where was it?
That was at my house.
Yeah, it was at Mike's house.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember it at all.
You blocked it out. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's-
it's a long journey, but it's fun. And let me ask you a side question as a follow up, because he's asking about how to make the draft as fun as possible. You joked about drafting the best players. How much of it, like we have Dynasty startup rankings. I'm just curious how much you yourself are willing to bend the rankings to draft players you love because it's a Dynasty league.
Oh, every time.
Yeah, you going against the grain of not necessarily because you're going to have this player a lot longer in theory and usually. I mean, there's a lot of turnover on everybody's roster, but if there's a player that you really love, especially if it's a younger player, it's like I'm just in love.
Yeah, if it's Cam Scattaboo.
Yeah, exactly. I would draft Cam Well,
yeah,
right.
Man.
Bad example.
Right, bad example with the injury and the Harbaugh.
You're more worried about the Harbaugh than the Jeremiah Love.
I mean, I really am.
The love.
I just can't imagine a team that has Scattaboo, Tyrone Tracy, and Singletary would take Love.
Yes, good.
But if anyone would, it would be Harbaugh.
I don't feel like he will do that.
I just think that
He's
oil and water.
He's a ground up guy.
The Titans need to remove the option. Titans do the wrong thing and draft a running back at number 4.
Well, there were some reports, right, that neither of those teams were really going to take him, and Washington's the first team that was considered. Did you guys not see that?
You can hear rumors on all sides of everything because some of it is smoke. All I know is that if you want Love, you need to trade to 3.
Right.
Huh?
Of
GMs
course.
out there?
Yeah.
Come and get them.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Let's talk news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right. Let's talk some news. The Falcons.
Diabolical.
The Falcons are signing Brian Robinson
B.
Jr.
Robinson.
to a 1-year deal worth $2.5 million. They lost Tyler Algier to Arizona.
This guy was already a problem.
Yeah, it already happened last year.
So on the sleeper platform, when you're drafting, and I think right now this
is going to happen thousands of times.
That's the most common platform right now. Obviously, lots of drafts on different platforms, but they display their players first initial, last name, position, and team. And so if you didn't pay attention last year to the team, you could have accidentally drafted Brian Robinson, which people did. But now he shares a team with Bijan. It's B. Robinson, Atlanta Falcons running back, and you got to be sweating.
Yes.
You are binoculars on looking for the junior. You're like, I'm not getting the junior. You don't want the junior.
Don't take the junior. What's Bijan Robinson's number?
7.
Is he 7?
I think he's 7.
Okay.
And Mooney was fake 7.
Mooney was
1.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I think Brian Robinson was he was 8 in Washington.
Oh no, he better not go to 1. Oh man, if he takes jersey 1, it's over. We're toast.
Because you already
was already having a problem with Darnell Mooney.
With Mooney, who's half the size of Bijan,
and plays a different position.
You will be done.
Oh, they've got to do it. They've got to. I'm like, I want to watch the world burn every time that he's in there, and everyone thinks it's Bijan.
I mean, this is Algier's a better player than Brian Robinson Jr. But
I would agree.
But Brian Robinson is still a larger physical back.
They needed depth. I'm not concerned about Brian Robinson.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal.
I think the question here from a fantasy perspective is this enough of an impact? You know, the Jahmyr Gibbs versus Bijan argument at the 101 once David Montgomery left and Tyler Algier left. Brian Robinson coming to town. Will that vulture
B. Robinson?
Will B. Robinson coming to will B. Robinson vulture B. Robinson
right
enough to make Jay Gibbs the first draft?
Well, Pacheco is about the same as B. Robinson in terms of my concern level. They're both in the same tier of they're both downgrades to the players that were there before. Algier and David Montgomery were much bigger threats to both Jay Gibbs and B. Robinson. Senior.
Sleeper, you got the room for
That's
names.
what they need to do.
Yeah.
This needs to be the year Bijan decides to be called Bijan Robinson Senior.
Not Junior.
Not Junior. Mike, you've got to be happy. I know you're happy. Joe Flacco back to the Bengals on a 1-year deal.
My dynasty team loves it.
Yeah, because
honestly,
you just want your guys. We all want Jamar Chase,
T.
Higgins, Chase Brown to be functional if the often injured Burrow is injured.
Yeah, this is fantastic news of a true actual insurance running or a quarterback, and not just if you have Burrow and Burrow misses time. Like if he's out, you will be able to pick up Flacco and simply play him. But to have the other players continue. In fact, last year, Jamar Chase, his numbers were better with Joe Flacco compared to Joe Burrow ever so slightly. That's not like a
28 targets a game.
Yeah, that's not a play Joe Flacco. It's just hey, if Burrow misses the time like he almost always does, don't sweat it. You'll be all right.
Honestly, everybody can get injured in the league. I know Burrow has had more injuries, but Stafford has been injured plenty of times. He's got a back injury. Darnold could get injured. And to me, when you're looking at those top 3 wide receivers right now in fantasy, this is a good enough tiebreaker to me that should the starting quarterback go down, I'm not having to worry about Drew Lock or Stetson Bennett or Jalen Milroe as trying to support my number 2 pick in the draft. Joe Flacco, we know, could get it done.
There is a report this morning, The Athletic, saying it's a 60-40 chance that Breece Hall signs an extension with the Jets after the NFL draft.
As opposed to playing on the franchise.
Yeah.
This is interesting to me. I know that the Jets they've said we want to get Breece Hall back with the long-term extension. Their actions certainly have not really said that, considering you should have extended him a year ago. But Jason, how do you feel about this?
Don't do it.
Breece Hall.
That's how I feel about it. Don't do it, Breece. Don't.
I mean, he's generational wealth.
Look, financially, sure, do it. But
what about me and my dynasty team?
So next year, in theory, I mean, the franchise tag is there for any of the great players. Jonathan Taylor will probably get franchise if they don't come to an agreement. Bijan.
Oh, Bijan. There was the report, I think, from Schefter of like, get ready for Gibbs.
Yeah, Gibbs,
HN, and Bijan. We should see a market reset.
Yeah,
for the running back position.
Those guys probably won't hit the open market. And if Jonathan Taylor is also franchised, then that would really mean Breece Hall is the king of free agency. I can't fathom a double franchise tag in a row on a running back.
Right.
So I would, if I'm Breece's agent, I would say just play one more year, stay healthy, get a bag for a different team.
He'll be
don't make the decision to get injured, Breece.
25. Yeah, see, that's
decide to stay healthy. It's just mental.
You sound like Puka or something. 2026. We have our kickoff schedule for Wednesday, September 9th in Seattle.
You heard that right.
What?
Wednesday.
Yeah, because Thursday is going down under.
Is it?
Yeah. Thursday is going to be from
Melbourne?
Melbourne?
Sorry.
I don't know.
Melbourne.
I know they like to go
Melbourne?
up. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what
you've
time?
been there. I haven't been there.
So I'm curious about this. So the season's going to kick off on Wednesday. Some people are really excited about it. Some people are unhappy. I don't like the football every day of the week thing that they're trying to do. However, by the time week 1 comes around, I'm going to be so excited.
Yeah, it's the first week.
I want that. But it's a slippery slope because then everyone's excited and then it's going to happen. Anyways, what I'm concerned about is because this game is coming from down under on Thursday, what time is it here?
It's 8:30 Eastern.
All right. Okay.
PM.
What time is it there?
Yeah, I guess thank you for
the following. It's the future. It's the morning of the future.
So
they will be playing Friday morning.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it.
I mean, this is how the sun works.
Do we care that the Eagles signed Elijah Moore, or the Saints signed Zach Wilson, or the Falcons signed Tyler Goodson?
Are you talking about Elijah Moore just one season removed from 100 targets in Cleveland?
Kind of.
Per the tweets? Reporters, stop it. I don't need your interjection.
Elijah Moore is on a nice Laquan Treadwell arc in terms of just being in the league for a long time. All right.
I can't believe Laquan Treadwell.
Dude,
one of the greatest busts of all. Like he's up there with the Corey Coleman and the Jamarcus Russell. Like he was supposed to be.
He has got to be an amazing locker room guy.
He just has to.
Just like he probably picks up all the towels.
I've never seen
he like cleans
an outright bust, which he is. He's not a disappointment. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. right now is not a bust.
No.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is just disappointing because you drafted him so high. This is an outright bust who has stayed in the league for a decade. He's played continually, and no one knows it. It's like,
yeah, he's still in the league. Dude, I totally forgot. Laquan Treadwell, year 1, first-round wide receiver selection by the Minnesota Vikings, accumulated the total statistics of 1 reception for 15 yards.
No. This is even better. He's still in the league, right? Here's his last 4 years. Total receptions. 6, then 1. And by the way, we're starting in 2022. 6, 1, 0, 0.
7 receptions in the last 4 years, still signing contracts.
He appeared in 10 games?
It says he was in 10 games last year.
It's 6% of snaps. This has got to be like a
special teams
thing.
Oh, this is an amazing job he's figured out.
Yeah, good for you, man. I mean, you're vested. Your retirement,
you get your health insurance.
Like, good for you.
Hanging on.
And isn't it like every year you play, you get a little bit more for
something like that?
Your retirement?
He's going for it. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Regress or Impress.
That don't impress me much.
Looking good there, Andy.
New graphic, huh?
Oh, man.
A little birthday present
Someone's
for me.
been working out.
Regress or Impress. We're going to start with second half studs from last year and talk through the trends that we saw at the end of the 2025 season and whether we believe these players will regress or impress in 2026.
I love this first name.
Yeah, I mean, this one
is an interesting conversation.
Yeah, because I see the outcomes really being like I could talk myself very heavily into both sides of it.
Yeah.
So Trevor Lawrence, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, amazing season for them. Was super impressive after the bye week. He got it figured out. Weeks 1 through 7, he was the quarterback 13, 16 fantasy points a game. But guys, after the bye, 22.6 fantasy points a game. You know this quarterback won?
Over that time period?
Over that time period?
He finished the season as the quarterback 4, basically 20 fantasy points per game, which was his career high. In year 5, first year with Liam Cohen. You've got Liam Cohen. I switched the N and the M.
Do that?
The N and the M.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Dylan Gabriel.
Gillen
Gabriel.
Oh, yeah, you could do this with anything.
You just give me a name and watch out, okay?
Bijan Robinson.
Okay. No, I'm going. Oh man, I was gonna do your name. Yours is gonna be hard.
I would not. I'd stop while you're ahead. You might walk into a word you don't want to say.
That's true. Good advice.
Were you in the middle of a thought?
He was.
I was at the end.
Oh
no, I was. What happened was I was in the middle of a thought, but the bridge collapsed.
Oh, and now it's lost.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in the ocean.
Here's why it's easy to be on both sides of the argument for Trevor Lawrence. His success was over. It wasn't like 3 or 4 weeks. Like we've had some of these regress or impress,
right,
where it's the last 3 weeks of a season and it's amazing. This was from week 8 on, although I would say he kind of turned on the Jets for the last 4 weeks. I mean, he had 3 top 5 finishes in that stretch. But you got other reasons to believe, right? The draft capital, the potential for him coming in. Did he get unlocked with Liam Cohen? The fact that offense is going to be stable for another season, not always the case for Trevor Lawrence historically. You have Liam Cohen in there with, tons of weapons in the receiver.
They really do, yeah.
I mean, part of the second half of that season was Jacoby Myers arriving, and Travis Hunter was out for a lot of it. He'll be back, and Brian Thomas Jr. Do they get that figured out? Great tight end.
You can also have the argument, one of the arguments that we have against Jordan Love is that when Josh Jacobs came to town, they were able to run the ball much better and they didn't need to rely on the passing game. Travis Etienne leaving, Travis Etienne a couple years ago had 11 rushing touchdowns, had 7 last year. Like that puts the team a little bit more on the arm of Trevor Lawrence going into year 2 in this system. And
Could be
I will
worse.
say this.
Newton's probably better on the ground.
I really want to be you're true. I mean, maybe as a goal line back, Tootin is an upgrade, but whether or not they view that schematically and decision-wise, like, hey, we're going to really rely on rushing the touchdowns in when we get around there, I don't know that that's true. But Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold was drafted very, very high, had many years before it looked like he was competent, several teams. And you think, okay, well, we're going into year 6. We know who Trevor Lawrence is. Trevor Lawrence is 26 years old. If he worked here at our studio, we would call him a child.
Right.
For sure. We'd call him a horse child. And we would say, hey, horse child, you're still getting better. And so I do think,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, if he worked here, we'd call him a horse child. There's no way we wouldn't. A baby horse, maybe? A pony? I don't know what we'd call him, but
I don't think anybody's ever called anything a horse child. Go on.
My point, obviously, is he actually might
You
still
can call
be
him
getting
Pony Boy.
much
You can go,
better.
Pony
Boy?
Outsiders on this?
Yeah, there we go. Pony Boy is a great character.
Stay golden, Trevor Lawrence.
His age, I think, is what really pushes me to think maybe he did level up and figure something out. Also, the willingness, and this has been something that is in his capabilities that he was not doing enough, and it was so frustrating watching him with all the opportunities to run the ball and pick stuff up with his legs, and he didn't do it.
Horse legs.
With his, I mean, come on, if you're a horse, gallop, go, man. Put them shoes on and trot. And but I think he's leveled up. I think he's going to continue to impress.
I'm on the impressed side.
The questionable things will be, so that time period you said where he was the QB1 in points, it's after the bye week. Well, he had 7 rushing touchdowns in that time. And will that sort of a thing continue going? Like, will that regress or impress? Baker Mayfield under Cohen did see kind of his first spike in rushing. So is that truly a part of the offense where they got to the bye week and Cohen was like, dude, Pony Boy, run. You're humongous.
Did you just get in on it?
Pony Boy's a fun name.
Yeah, Pony Boy's good. And honestly,
I don't feel as insulting when I'm going with a classic literary character.
Pony Boy versus
Horse Child.
Yeah.
Pony Boy's better. Pony Boy's kinder. Pony Boy is a great character. Yeah, a literary icon.
Wait, what is that from?
The Outsiders.
Oops.
Yeah, not everybody's as learned as us, Mike.
Jason, I'm normally was like, read a book, and you are in on this?
There's a musical.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I saw it on Broadway. So
Stay golden.
He's not a foal anymore.
There's some
foul. How do you say that?
No, you.
There's a musical.
Yeah.
You got it right
The Outsiders,
the first time.
great musical.
So
It's not foul. Okay.
Foul.
Foul's like a bird.
Or like a penalty.
Right.
Got it.
the fact, like, I've never heard this argument of it's all the movie
Going regress on Jason, impress on Trevor Lawrence.
movies. The movie book people. It's like,
Uh-huh.
the book was better. Now we have book musical.
Book musical, and the musical.
musical's better than the book.
It is.
Oh, what a world we live in. So those are my biggest questions for Pony Boy about will he be rushing in that many touchdowns? Because 359 yards, that's not crazy. For Trevor Lawrence has had a year of 334, 339. So that the yardage didn't spike to a place that we've never seen before. But
Do you expect it to hit from the starting gate?
I think if we can get the blinders on him, I think that he can zero in and really take this derby to a new place.
Yeah,
Did we mention he also had 8.6% of his pass attempts were dropped, which is the highest. I mean, shout out to Brian Thomas for everything he did for that.
Shout out to BTJ.
But the 8.6, that's tied for the highest rate of any quarterback over the last 4 years. So you're talking 400 potential yards, which
You're not going to get all of that, but
of course, because
you
still got some of those back. But that's a lot of drops that I don't think will happen. And Brian Thomas cleaned up his drop problem over the second half.
Are we prepared to move on to the next name?
So right now in Underdog, he's going at quarterback 10.
Yeah, that'd be a good final question there is where you think he'll end up. I would say
I don't mind that.
if he ends up as quarterback 7, does that fit into the impress category?
Quarterback 7 would be.
Is that too?
I think it would continue the trend that he had last year. So I'd say he would continue impressing. However, I wouldn't be happy with drafting him.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two different conversations, whether or not you believe. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence continues to impress. He's probably not the quarterback that I'm going to leave my drafts with because when you're coming off of a great year like he just had, he will be drafted not as a late-round quarterback.
Does it feel like Baker?
Yeah, very, very similar to Baker. When he was coming off of his –
But he can run.
Well, no, he still has Cohen. Baker lost
Yeah.
the coach.
Yeah. Chase Brown.
Impress.
He was on the Regress or Impress
Next.
episode last year. RB19 for the first half, RB5 for the second half of the year.
Yeah, he was both. He was Regress, Impress last year.
Yeah, it was not through 5 weeks. He was pretty unstartable.
Correct. But
And-
he was a victim of the Joe Burrow's injury as well. Like whatever magic Jake Browning had filling in for Joe Burrow the first time, that the pixie dust wore off, and it was an absolute disaster. Joe Flacco comes out, I was going to say old man Joe Flacco comes in, somehow fixes everything, and then Joe Burrow comes back and everything is great. Chase Brown is you still have to be under watch of, with
The draft?
the draft. I don't think that they will replace him. I there was the whispers of extension talk. That was a couple months ago, so maybe that's still going on in the background. And if a Chase Brown extension comes through, then I will have no fears, no worries. My chips will be all.
We were
in.
asked a question on the Footcast yesterday of what would be some things that would happen this year to prove that the year of Mike is over. And this would be one of those. Like if they were to draft a replacement,
Yeah.
Spend the second-round pick on a running back.
That would be devastating.
That would be very anti-Mike.
It probably won't happen. I think they're very committed to Chase Brown and believe in him. He played the entire season, stayed healthy, turned it on over the back half of the year. They've got so many needs on the defensive side of the football.
Exactly.
They, last year they picked up Taj Boyd, right? Later in the draft as
And he just got really no play.
got no opportunity. One thing you can be happy about with Chase Brown is that they didn't make a change at the head coach position, even though Jason wanted them to.
Right.
The plan right now is, hey, our offense is magma. Our offense is amazing. Can we fix things on the defensive side? If we waste a pick on a high-end running back for no good reason when you get this production from Chase Brown, to me, I'm going to go impress on Chase Brown.
And he's an electric receiver. He had the 4th most targets at the running back position, and on receptions, he had the 3rd most forced missed tackles.
Now, when Mixon was there, we got the random Samaje Perine adventure.
Yep.
Perine did get re-signed.
And at the end of the year, Perine did get some goal line work. Chase Brown is capable at that, but as is Perine, so that will happen over the course of the year. But when you have the amount of work that Chase Brown gets combined with how great he is as a receiver, I will have no problem drafting him wherever he's going.
I agree. We're all going to be impressed here. His last 10 games, which are really the games that matter because you're talking about once they found something at the quarterback position. Those last 10 games, 7 of the 10, he was not like, it was a good week. It was top 10 weekly finishes, 70% of those games. The other 3 were still RB2s. It wasn't 0 bad weeks during that stretch. The fact that he got off to such a slow start with the Joe Burrow injury and was so devastating. I mean, this was a guy that when you're going into week 5, week 6, you're talking should you be dropping him? Should you cut Chase Brown at that point? And I don't think he's going to be overdrafted. Going into this year again, he's not going to be someone that people are crazy bullish on. There will be enough fear from the first 5 weeks of last year.
Every league will have 1 of 10, 1 of 12 people who hates Chase Brown because they drafted him last year, and it didn't work. And I would love to see the numbers of the people who drafted Chase Brown and rode out the whole season with him. It didn't get to the point where there's like, this crap sucks, I'm out, this guy stinks, he'll never be good, and then they trade him or they cut him. And then the beneficiary of Chase Brown was not the drafter.
No, and it was the same with Burrow and Chase. I mean, you
right,
like those guys got moved. Jamar Chase was not a great option for 5 weeks with Browning.
No, he was unstartable.
The Flacco revolution saved the day.
If you did draft Chase Brown, you know, those final 3 weeks were the final 2 weeks, championship and semifinals, the running back 4, the running back 3. If you kept him the whole time, you probably weren't in the playoffs. Like he either was a real great player for someone who picked him up, or he was so bad in the beginning that he hurt you and you're going to never draft him again.
Kenneth Gainwell, who is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Second half of the year, he was the running back 12, kept surprising in Pittsburgh, kept becoming more and more utilized in Pittsburgh, kind of used that year to sign a 2-year deal worth up to $14 million in Tampa. $10 million guaranteed, that's not nothing. He's 26.9 years old, entering his 6th year. He did lead the Pittsburgh Steelers in receptions.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Which is impressive for him and embarrassing for DK Metcalf.
And for the Steelers as an organization, I don't think you ever want a running back to lead your team in receptions. And if your running back does lead your team in receptions, you hope it's Christian McCaffrey or someone that is like one of the best players in the league, not coming into the season your second or third string running back.
So, I mean, I feel like this is one where my instant default easy answer is going to be regress, because you kind of had a unique situation. There wasn't a lot of weapons in Pittsburgh. You did deal with some injuries at the running back position. He became kind of integral. It seems like one of those things that would depart from fantasy value when you leave that scenario and you have, you know, all the wide receivers and tight ends and Bucky Irving in Tampa. Is that the side that you're going to go with?
I don't think I'm fully committed to regress, because he's a good player. Like, those things would not have happened in Pittsburgh if he weren't showing out with talent. I mean, you went into that year, Jaylen Warren had just received, you know, a baby, a micro extension for his bank account, and then by this second half, Kenneth Gainwell had kind of overtaken him in terms of the timeshare. Kenneth Gainwell and Bucky Irving is going to be extremely difficult, because I don't have a strong enough conviction in Bucky Irving to say, this signing doesn't matter. 2 years, $14 million. You know, I don't really care about Kenneth Gainwell. I do care, but Bucky is also a tremendous player. So
feels like a conversation around Bucky, really.
Yeah, obviously Bucky is undersized, could get injured. We saw him get injured last year. There's also some, you know, smoke about the mental hardships that Bucky has gone through. So Bucky, to me, is a great player who is so far ahead of Kenneth Gainwell, where he will retain. Like, Rachaad White was involved last year. Rachaad White played 17 games and was the running back 34. He was pretty irrelevant. If Bucky Irving were to go down or out for any reason, then I do think Kenneth Gainwell is a very interesting player. But what Kenneth Gainwell did this last year was really take on a role. Even when Jaylen Warren was active and healthy, Kenneth Gainwell was still leading the team in receptions, was on the field all the time, was running routes, and I don't anticipate that being what they brought him in to do. They brought him in to just be a replacement of Rachaad White, a backup, a spell.
But he's much better than Rachaad White.
Yeah, but much worse than Bucky Irving.
I don't think he's much worse than Bucky in my evaluation of it. I think he is much, much better than Rachaad White. And so it's what happens when all that work that Rachaad White got, what happens when it's a good player? What happens to Bucky Irving then?
Sure. You look at Gainwell, the runner, that way, or just the versatility that way? Because I
really both. I mean, he for his career, he's a 4.4 yards per attempt runner, I mean, Rachaad White could never.
He seems to endear himself to the team that he's on. That is one thing that you can say about Kenneth Gainwell, is that he's somebody that it does all the dirty work, all the stuff that you don't see, that doesn't show up in the fantasy football stat sheets, and teams end up falling in love with him and giving him more time.
Yeah.
And that would be my concern for Bucky. But it doesn't
I
mean that
agree.
I think that the fantasy value is going to be consistent for Gainwell. I'm going to go regress.
I lean that way, but I'm curious. Do we know where Bucky is going? In like, what's the public temperature right now on Bucky Irving? Because it might end up being a situation where I'll just be willing to miss of what Bucky's going to offer.
RB, no.
That
Wait,
can't
Bucky's
be
37?
right.
No.
That can't be.
That's gotta
right.
be
Gainwell's
Gainwell.
37, Bucky 17.
Okay.
okay.
See, that makes
Yeah.
far more
Gainwell
sense.
37, Bucky 17. Bucky at 17 seems like a pretty good. That's not bad.
I'm totally willing to take the shot on
Yeah,
him there.
yeah. I don't want to forget what Bucky is capable of doing. But we'll see. All right, we'll take another quick break, and then we'll come back, do a couple other regress or impress. Michael Wilson.
Oh boy.
Good golly, Miss Molly.
Oh boy.
Irrelevant in the first half of the year, wide receiver 3 over the second half of the year.
Irrelevant for what, 2.5 years?
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
And then
What year are we going into with Wilson? We're going into year 4.
he became Jerry Rice
Yeah.
when the team was throwing the ball 40 times a game with Jacoby Brissett.
He was the wide receiver 3, 17 points a game.
No Marvin Harrison on the field for the majority of that. And film-wise, stats-wise, advanced metric-wise, separation, there was no flaw in his game. So the question is, was that the breakout, or was that the opportunity of what the Cardinals were doing and the fact that he was kind of thrust into wide receiver 1 territory here for the Cardinals?
Yeah, and it's going to come down to how we define impress and regress here, because I don't think any of us are going to expect the performances of the second half of the year where wide receiver 3 or 17 fantasy points a game. But
I would say here's how I would define whether it's a continuous impress or he regresses back to not necessarily – he's not going to be either. He's not going to be the wide receiver 81. He's not going to be the wide receiver 3. That's what you're saying. I think the best way to view it is he the wide receiver 1 for the Arizona Cardinals, or is Marvin Harrison Jr. the wide receiver? Because if he takes hold of that and is the primary non-Trey McBride receiving option for the Cardinals, then he is continued to impress. If he's not, if he takes that backup role and he's the third target on the team, you'd say he regressed from where he was.
I think that he should be, and he won't be. I think it's very good that Jacoby Brissett's the quarterback for Michael Wilson, but I don't think, like, because look, if we all had to place a bet today, put $100 down on the table,
Okay.
and you click the Michael Wilson button or you click the Marvin Harrison button,
Oh.
and we presume health, and we say what are the fantasy outcomes for those two players at the end of the year, I'm going to click Marvin Harrison's button.
Oh, that shocks
Are
me.
you?
I am as well,
I
but I thought
don't-
I was going to be the only one
Because
here.
sometimes it's just too squeaky. I think the targets will be there for Marvin Harrison.
We're going into – this is year 3 of
It is.
Marv?
Yeah.
So it's year 3 of Marv, year 4 of Michael Wilson.
I think I would
It's
push.
not that different.
No, I know. Look, I think Michael Wilson showed us consistently on a weekly basis that his talent is there. His capability is there on every level. Jason talked about the metrics. Right now, Marvin Harrison is the wide receiver 33 in best ball. Michael Wilson is the wide receiver 39 in best ball. I would expect, just looking at that, I would expect both guys to outperform those numbers.
Yeah,
And that doesn't mean I'm going to be happy. It doesn't mean I'm going to get a wide receiver 15 number. But, if they end 15-18, I won't be shocked.
the nice thing about the Arizona Cardinals, so I was really pouring some cold water at the end of the season, pointing out what happened to the Cardinals defense, what happened where they put Jacoby Brissett in, just threw the ball every play. They lost every game. Every game that Jacoby Brissett was a starter, they lost. And they threw the ball a cajillion times, and Jacoby was on pace for 4,000, 5,000 yards. It was asinine. And that wasn't going to happen again. But I am not as convinced that they're not going to just continue to air it out and need to keep up. They have signed nobody of relevance, and nor do they want to sign.
Algier?
And by the way,
I'm saying on the defensive side of the ball.
Can I just correct you,
okay,
Jason?
Okay.
He was 1-11.
No, in games he started. I don't think he.
Oh, you think he came into one and got a win?
I believe so. I could be wrong. Maybe he was 1-11 and did not go winless. He might have had a win. I don't.
It was really just a joke.
Yeah.
But
the Cardinals, they have done the right thing, which is sign a bunch of worthless one-year deals. They have the most cap space going into next year. They are not going to be a competitive team. Their defense is going to continue to be bad. And with Jacoby Brissett back in tow, I do think that they're, for fantasy purposes, Andy, one of your things to remember this year was bad teams really ruin good players. And I think that's so true of, the Browns and the Jets. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, they're not going to – I don't know if it's and I know we're Cardinals fans, but I hate the Cardinals. I do think that the offense will have fantasy football relevance.
You should revise it, bad offenses or just bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, maybe
Jacoby's not bad. He's not a long-term starter, but he's not a bad quarterback.
Yeah, he beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
He beat
as a
them.
starter?
As a starter.
He started that snap.
Started.
All right. Go Jacoby.
Started and won. He beat the Cowboys of all teams.
Yeah, he did.
And that defense. No, I think you could make some tweaks. I mean, you're not – their offense was great. Legitimately, there's a reason why Detroit went out and got the blobfish from Arizona. And It was because of the success he had with – the Cardinals had more players in injured reserve than the final four teams in the NFC playoffs combined. So the Cardinals dealt with massive injuries, fourth-string running backs, no Kyler Murray, and they had a pretty dominant offense for the back half of the year in terms of production, and that's why, you will have a change at the offensive coordinator. You're bringing in, LaFleur, who's going to take over, and that's going to bring some variables. But I think part of it is going to be, the Cardinals have two ways to go on Marvin Harrison. But staying neutral on it is not going to be one of them. You're either going to go the direction of this is not going to work here and he's going to get moved and it's not going to happen, or you're going to go the direction of we're going to make it work and the targets are going to be there. But staying neutral I don't think is going to happen. And I think that's part of the agenda for LaFleur.
Mike, who do you think has the better fantasy season between those two wide receivers? Andy and I are on the side of taking the shot on Marv.
If I had to click the button right now, I would click Michael Wilson.
Okay.
What's so difficult for Michael Wilson is the first 2 years in the league, my opinion of him was he is not that good. He was not getting away. He was not creating separation. He was not handling his business. He was he was like a wide receiver 3 type, of you should be on a team, but you're nowhere near the level of a player who can take over a game. And over the second half, he did that. He took over games. While Trey McBride is still on the team, where Marv, we've seen him take over maybe a couple times. So it's hard to change your opinion. Or speaking of myself, it's hard to change my opinion of how bad I felt about Michael Wilson to what we saw over the second half.
One more name for you. We get to talk about him forever. Kyle Pitts, 8 fantasy points a game in the first half, tight end 16, not the end of the world, but not helpful. Second half of the year, the tight end 3 had the greatest game for a tight end of all time in week 15.
It's really skewing the average.
He also is you're going to hear tight end 2 around Kyle Pitts' name.
Mm-hmm.
His 9.8 fantasy points per game is the lowest ever for a tight end 2. So it wasn't great for tight ends last year. And week 15, I don't know what the numbers would be. Oh, I've got it.
Yeah,
without the 40-point week 15, he would have been 7.9 a week. And that would have been the same as Britton Strange and Dalton Schultz. So you don't want to take away the ability to put up the biggest game of all time, but at the same time, that's a pretty special outlier game.
So, like in best ball right now, going after Kyle Pitts is Sam Laporta, Oronde Gadsden, Dalton Kincaid. To get cheaper over Kyle Pitts, I think I would go that direction. I mean, the quarterback questions for Atlanta are very real. Will Penix be healthy? Is he even good enough? And then if that's not the answer, then your solution is Tua. How good of a solution is that?
Yeah, I think what was I seeing? Because there were some comments around Tua being willing to mentor Michael Penix, and it's like one of them's like Tua's 28. Penix is 26. He was older, remember?
Yeah.
So it's like these guys are really not that different in terms of like.
But experience, they're very different.
Very, very different. But also,
Who do you think wins the job?
Oh, Penix. Yeah. I think Penix will have the beginning of the season. I don't know how to go from there.
The issue with Kyle Pitts, I mean, the same thing we were saying about I'm
out.
Trevor Lawrence being young.
Regress.
Kyle Pitts is only 25 years old. That's the argument. At the end of the year, he leveled up. He showed out. They're going to come in next year with a better plan for him. He's going to figure it out. That is the argument.
Oh, Stefanski.
I know. Stefanski loves tight ends, but let me talk you out. When you look at last season, how bad he was, and then you hit week 13, and all of a sudden he's the tight end 6, the tight end 7, the tight end 1, the tight end 3. Like, just awesome. That's no Drake London. That was when Drake London got injured.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he became the de facto number 1 target for the team, and then had to put up points.
He's at least the de facto number 2 right now.
Yeah, but he was the de facto 2 before that, and he wasn't very good.
Well, it's funny because you said if you took week 15 out, we'd be at 7.9 fantasy points per game. His first half of the year was 8.2 for the first half, which is tight end 16. So if you look at that, he's going to regress from his fantasy finish at tight end for sure.
Yes.
He's going to regress in his fantasy points per game of the second half of the year. I don't think you're getting 11.6 over the second half of the year. So, I think overall, unless he is cheap, which maybe he will be, but I don't think so. I think there's a lot of reasons for people to believe in him right now. So
I will be happy.
I don't think I'll draft him.
I will be very happy to grab him for a matchup off the waiver wire. I will do that once or twice through the year. He will be there. Maybe not week 1, but he'll be there. And you can grab him and play him in the right matchup.
He looks like a player, at least right now, we bring up the phrase or the kind of the saying of like, when there's certain players, I'm willing to be wrong, by drafting them. I'm willing to be wrong about Kyle Pitts of bypassing and let someone else, if you want to have the bravery and you want to get the reward, I accept that.
Let me see if this final bit of information changes anything. Right now, he's going behind Harold Fannin in best ball. Okay, He's going behind Tucker Kraft, who's going to come back from an injury and was really good. I think that all makes sense. The guys he's going ahead of, I don't know. Maybe I would take him ahead of them. Sam Laporta, Oronde Gadsden, Dalton Kincaid.
I think I'd take all 3 of those guys ahead of. Maybe not Laporta.
I would rather have them than Pitts. I wouldn't necessarily draft them ahead.
Kincaid over Pitts?
Dude, I think I would. Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton
Kincaid was.
Kincaid's on the Pitts career arc. Disappointing.
At least,
yes.
Inconsistent.
I mean, both guys have dealt with injury. Obviously, DJ Moore being there will be the number 1 target in the offense, you would presume. But that could be good for the tight end position to open it up a little bit. I think Dalton Kincaid is more talented than Kyle Pitts. Gadsden is the most exciting. Laporta is on a better offense. So there's reasons, but they're all later, and that's the thing that you can't miss here. It's not that we would
just overall the offenses are better.
Yeah, it's not that you would draft those guys over Kyle Pitts if Kyle Pitts was, being drafted at the 110th player where Gadsden is. But if you're telling me I can wait and take a player that, I don't know, I probably believe in the player more in Gadsden than in Pitts, and I can get him in the hundreds, I'll do that.
Okay. Glad we get to talk about Kyle Pitts again. It's On my birthday too. I mean, that's not
what a
Big honor.
It's not really a gift so much as a curse. But we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate you joining us. We'll be back with a couple more episodes next week. A reminder, jointhefoot.com if you want to head over there. We're going to be getting into the rookie previews. The NFL draft is really not that far away. So we're going to start talking through the quarterbacks, the running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, the names you need to know, and the players that we believe in or are starting to believe in.
It sounds like we believe in Pony Boy.
Yeah, that's the irony of that entire segment, is that I'm pretty sure it was a little demeaning.
Well, it's just he
But
has
it was
so many
all-
horse parts.
It was all followed up by a impress.
Yeah. Dude, horses are impressive
Okay.
animals.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, everybody. It's just who we are. We're children. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.